Hello everybody and welcome back to the shop. I've been doing a lot of these light boxes on the 3D printer, especially since I got the snap maker. They're a lot more practical to make these multicolored prints. I've been getting some orders for them in, and I've got a video. I'll link it in the description below about how I designed and put these together. It's really easy to do it in MakerLab versus the old way I was doing it in Fusion 360. I'll leave a link to that video in the description below, so you can go check that video out and see how I put these together. The first couple I've made, I was getting little black specks in my white. You might see a couple of streaks there. This is done on a brand new build plate. I got the Cryo Grip Glacier plate, and this was actually the second print that I did. And the first print didn't have any black in it whatsoever. So I know these little black specks were not from a previous print. Now, whether I had my temperature a little bit too high and some of the black was oozing out, that might be another concern. But regardless, let's see if we can find a way to minimize that. I'm going to jump over here into SnapMaker Orca, and we're going to look at a couple of settings real fast. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that LightBox in. I want to import this LightBox just by dragging it straight to the build plate here in the SnapMaker Orca. And I've already saved this under the SnapMaker settings. Of course, we're printing this face down. So I did see one video on a way to eliminate those black specks, and since I've been doing it this way, I have not seen any black specks in my prints. What we're going to do is we're going to tell the slicer to print all of the light colors first. And the way we're going to do that, I'm going to come over here to this settings tab. This is straight Orca right here. The settings tab looks the same as it does in SnapMaker Orca. This is my SnapMaker. This is standard Orca. They look the same. Bamboo Studios just looks a little different. Customize current plate. It's going to say this. It's going to say customize current plate on all of them when you hover over the little settings box right there. Customize current plate. Customize current plate. In Bamboo Studio, when you click on it, all the settings looks the same. And regular Orca. But we're dealing with SnapMaker Orca today, so let's look into this setting. And we're going to go to our first layer filament sequence. We're going to click on this. It says auto. I'm going to click on this drop down and we're going to do customized. And this will let you drag your spool orientations around. We don't have any pink in this particular print, but if we did, we'd just make sure we put that before the black. You can drag your print orientations around. Like I said, I don't have any pink in this particular print to start with. This just shows all 4 spools that I have loaded up in SnapMaker. Make sure we have the lightest colors first. That means white layer very first. And you can go even deeper into your other layers. And once you click on customize on other layers, you can keep on adding, and you can customize each individual layer. But we don't need to do that. All we want to be concerned with right now is the first layer. On that first layer, we want to make sure that the lighter colors are first, and that'll make the white layer print first. Click OK. You'll see that turns orange. That lets us know that we have some custom settings set in there. And when we slice that, you can run this all the way down, and as you play this, you will see that all the white layers will print first, then the darker layers. And since I've done that, I've not noticed any black specks in my white layers. Everything looks crisp and clean. And that's how I'll be doing my light boxes going forward. Another thing I started doing to optimize the space and get larger light boxes is turning these on an angle. to find the actual dimensions of the individual parts, because they will all be different depending on the dimensions of your light box. When I designed this box, it made it pretty small to fit on the build plate of the XP and the A1 series printers, which is 256. And when you click the drop down box, you can see we actually have the H2D Pro. We could make 300 millimeters. I don't have that. My build plate is 270. Inside of Maker Labs LightBox, all it's going to give us is the dimensions of the bamboo printers. It also don't allow us to grab a corner and rotate this. So I exported this as is on a 256, a little bit larger in here, and you can even go out of bounds and export it. But to see exactly how it's going to fit on your build plate the best, you might as well just go ahead and export it, bring it into your slicer, and stretch it and rotate it so you get the best fit. Make sure the whole thing fits on the build plate. I'm still on the build plate there. I'm very close to the corner here, so I might want to address that a little bit. You see, I'm going to pay attention to these bottom corners first. Get them over to the edge, because I can take and rotate that to make that fit a little bit better. Once I get these bottom two corners, then we can watch the top two corners and make sure they're still on the build plate. Everything is still on the build plate. That's as big as I can get it on this build plate. So I'll level it back out. Make sure your top edge, whatever straight edge you have on your model, your straight edge might be on the bottom. On mine, I got a straight edge on top, so I'm going to look at that and make sure it's straight across my build plate. And I'm going to go to my scale, and I see I got 311 millimeters. So I can actually go back into LightBox Maker. The size right here, this little link right here, I want to make sure that's tied together. And I can just type 311 after I hit my numlocks. I can just type 311. And then make sure you get your keyhole and put it back in the center. And then line up your rectangle or your circle, whatever you had for your, this is the hole for the wire to come through the back. And then set your base in place, however you want your base to rest. That'll probably make a good base right there. Now you see we're off the bounds of our build plate, but that's fine. Of course, when you import your new file, it'll be on Bamboo X1C, because that's what we had selected in Maker World. So the first thing we need to do is put that on SnapMaker U1. I've got the cryo plate setting there. And just spin the sucker around and make sure it fits on the plate. Now, of course, I could have just brought this in here and scaled up each piece together, but I know these will match now, since they was both generated with the same dimensions. I don't have to worry about making sure I scaled this plate just as much as I scaled this one. I'm going to put my purge blocks over here. We got more space. Plus this right here has the same dimensions as well, because it was all generated together. Now that I've got it on the plate, I want some options. I've got a hole right here in the back. So if I print this as is, I'm going to have a hole in the back. for the LED wire to come through. And that's fine if you're going to use this base and you're going to set it down on this base. You want your hole coming through here. But if I'm using the keyhole slot and I'm hanging this on the wall, that wire is going to get in the way and it's going to be holding the bottom of the light box off the wall, and I don't want that. So I want to click this part. I want to right click. And I'm going to add a negative part. I'm going to add a cube in here. I'm going to spin this around. Then I'm going to scale it down. Done it this way. You don't even have to add your hole. You can just make your hole right here in the same. You could have made both holes right here the same way, and it's okay if that negative part goes under the build plate a bit. There, we've got a negative part there. So let's slice that up and see what we're going to look like. Slice the right plate. I had the first plate selected. So when we slice that up, I've got supports enabled. Why do I have supports enabled? It would more than likely be able to bridge this just fine without supports. You can leave that support there if you want to. But now, if I flip this over to the back, we'll be able to see better. We'll have the hole in the back. Set the sign on a base. And that same hole will come and pass through the bottom if we want to hang this on the wall. So that just gives me a little bit more options on how we want to display the sign. And you see us right here. I have not dug into the actual settings of the material yet, but every time I leave this set as bamboo PLA, this like 14 hours is ridiculous. We're not doing that. Gotta come over. I'm gonna come over to devices, make sure my device is selected. That way when I come over here, it will actually see the filament that I have loaded in my printer. So I'm going to go ahead and click this for number one. I'm not going to change these colors. I'm just going to come down here and select generic PLA. Where'd you go? There you are. Generic PLA. You're eluding me. There you are. Generic PLA. Oh yeah. Make sure all of them are set on generic PLA. I'm not going to change any other settings right now. We're just going to go ahead and reslice that. And we went down to 3 hours, 2 hours and 56 minutes, just by selecting the generic PLA instead of the bamboo presets. The bamboo presets must be really slow. I've yet to dig into that and investigate further, but I don't buy bamboo filament. I only use generic. And when you're doing the color mixing to come up with your different colors by just by layering these 4 colors with the CMYK, all of these will be a requirement to have them set on generic in order to come up with this, in order to accomplish this little trick right here with the color mixing. I have not tried that yet either. That's next. I do got the CMYK back there, so I will be doing that in an upcoming video. But that's how I set up my light boxes, so I have more options for displaying and maximizing maximizing the space on the build plate to make the biggest sign possible. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start another print, and I hope this video was helpful for somebody, and stay tuned for the next one.